Hey everybody, Neil here, and the time has come. Unfortunately, my Montreal Canadiens have been eliminated from the playoffs, but that was a very predictable outcome for the Montreal Canadiens and a couple of the other teams. So I want to talk about Montreal, I'll talk New Jersey, and we'll talk Tampa, but we'll also talk the teams that advanced and moved on to the second round: Carolina, Florida, and Washington. These are all very, very good teams, and they're about to face another very good team in the second round. I guess as I'm filming this, all the sequence of events haven't been decided yet. But let's talk about what has happened so far. And we will start off with Montreal since it's my favorite team and the series that I watched the most of. So I predicted that the Washington Capitals would win the series. I thought it would happen in 6. I really did think that Montreal could probably squeak out 2 games, and maybe they could have. But I knew at the end of the day, the most realistic and almost certain thing that was going to happen was that the Washington Capitals was going to handedly defeat the Montreal Canadiens, and that's kind of exactly what happened. I didn't get fairy tale vibes from the Montreal Canadiens this year in the playoffs. They had moments of greatness for sure, especially in I think it was game 3. But overall, they were clearly outmatched in almost every single way. Now, they did have some injury issues to go along with that in terms of goaltending and stuff, but I don't think that would have made the difference. Probably, you might have got them one more game, maybe. But still, I just didn't really get the vibe from them that they were, going all the way this year. But I'm still happy because they got a lot of really good experience and stuff. But I felt like Washington wasn't playing at the top of their game. I thought that they were pretty good on the power play, had some decent moments in the Montreal Canadiens end, were relatively good stopping Montreal from creating anything in the Washington end, their own end. But I still feel like they were holding back just a little bit. I think one of the great things that they did do in the series was be as physical as they were. Montreal really struggled with how physical Washington was, and Montreal struggled to compete with that. Montreal has some big guys on the team, but they also have a lot of really small guys too. So when the forward group, small guys like Suzuki, Caulfield, and some of the others, are up facing bigger guys on the back end of Washington and bigger guys on the front end as well. Like Ovechkin's a star, but he's a pretty big guy. You're gonna lose some battles along the boards. I will say that Montreal did do a pretty good job at moments winning some of the battles in the Washington end, specifically along the boards. I felt like they failed more so in the middle of the ice in front of the net. They really had a hard time making like a pretty play or like if you watch other series, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because Carolina can cycle the puck like geniuses, and so can Washington. If you watch the same game, on the other end of the ice, Washington was able to cycle in the Montreal Canadiens zone pretty freely, especially during the power play. You never really saw that from Montreal. You saw maybe a more perimeter work, but not so much in the middle. And I think they struggled with that whole cross ice pass thing in the Washington end. So Montreal, although they lost, it was predictable. And I'm happy that the team got experience. Disappointed, obviously, but I'm not devastated. It was expected. Washington, like I said just a bit ago, are not playing at their full potential against Montreal. They didn't need to. And I think this next series against Carolina, they've got their work cut out for them. Let's transition to Carolina versus the Devils. That was some of the best hockey that I've watched in a long time. I really enjoyed. Like, I know that the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Devils 4-1. So if you on paper, looks like Carolina really had their way with the Devils, and in a lot of games they kind of did. But the hockey was so good. Like, it wasn't like Montreal Washington was good, especially game 3, but Carolina New Jersey, almost every single game was incredible. Massive kudos and shout out to the New Jersey Devils for becoming the team that they are right now. Now, the goaltending really held them into this series just in general. And maybe they could have gotten another game out. But I have, like, New Jersey's not a team I cheer for, but I had so much fun watching them in these playoffs. And Carolina, too. There are so many individual players on both the teams that I really like. So I really found it a super enjoyable series to watch, just as a hockey fan in general. And if you had asked me before the playoffs, and I guess I even made a video, talking about my predictions and stuff, but if you had asked me, what's going to be one of the most boring series, or the series that you pay the least amount of attention to, I likely would have answered Carolina, New Jersey. I completely feel differently now. It's probably one of my favorite series, or if not my favorite series of the entire playoffs that I've watched so far. So I love that Carolina went on, because I was cheering for them, and I did predict them to go on. But I love that I get to see more of Carolina. And I'm sad that I don't get to see more of the Devils. That's how That's how much fun it was watching these two teams play. There's almost a bit of a rivalry there now, even though Carolina had their way with New Jersey. It was such good hockey. I think I want to see them play again next year in the playoffs. I think it'd be really good. So, anyways, disappointed that that series didn't go on to like 7. It would have been really cool just to see the two teams play, regardless of who won. But Carolina is such a good team. The biggest difference I noticed in the two teams was speed. New Jersey's a fast team, but Carolina was completely exploiting them speed-wise with gaining entry into the zone. New Jersey was doing it, and they'd dump the puck, and by the time the puck hit the back boards, the New Jersey player was like just inside the blue line, maybe almost the top of the circle. But when Carolina was doing it, they were coming in with such speed frequently. They were catching New Jersey defenders flat-footed, and at the same rate, when the puck hit the back boards in the New Jersey end, the Carolina players and forwards were past the top of the circle, almost to the dot, almost to the puck itself. Like they were flying in. And we saw this happen as the series went on. And I think the Carolina players and Brindamore noticed this. We can really exploit this team if we go all in on speed. And that's how Carolina generated so much of their offense. And they always had more shots than New Jersey. Like they were it was relentless. And they were doing that all with speed. They were generating all of that with speed. And so it was really fun to watch. And it was almost like you could see the players realize and growing just in a couple of games and getting that confidence and be like, wow, we found our secret weapon a little bit with our speed. Like I said, New Jersey's a fast team. Carolina's also a fast team, but I feel like they just went all in on speed. So it's going to be really, really fun to watch them against Washington, because Washington is, I would say, not as fast as New Jersey, but they're bigger than New Jersey. They're a little bit more tough. So I think that the Washington Capitals are going to be thrown around the body a little bit more than the Devils did against the Carolina Hurricanes. So it's going to be interesting to see how Carolina reacts to that and handles that, and how much they try and utilize the speed against Washington. I can't wait for that series. I think it's going to be really, really good. I don't even know who to predict, because it could go either way. Like that's how good the Washington Capitals are right now, and the Carolina Hurricanes. So I just hope it goes 7 just so we can watch some great hockey. I probably would pick Carolina of the two teams if I had to make a prediction right now. Now, the other series, Florida-Tampa. This was a series that I watched the least out of all the 3 series that I'm talking about. But I was completely wrong in this series. I felt like the Tampa Bay Lightning had a little bit more gas in the tank than the Florida Panthers. I was also looking at the last 10 games of either team when I was making my predictions before the playoffs started, and I'm looking at Florida. I'm thinking they're like 3-6-1 or 3-6-2, whatever they were, and 3-6-1, I guess it had to be. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this team's they're feeling a little bit exhausted. They've been to the playoffs and deep in the playoffs for the last 2 years. They're tired. They played a lot of hockey. Maybe they just don't have the gas in the tank. And I'm looking at Tampa Bay Lightning, and their record was 5-3-2 or something like that, whatever it was. So it's like, okay, like they're a little bit more hot coming into the playoffs. They also jumped the Florida Panthers coming into the playoffs to get that second seat in the division. So I thought, okay, even though on paper Florida's the better team, I feel like Tampa maybe has some more fuel to work with. So I predicted Tampa. And honestly, I figured that even if Tampa lost, it'd still likely go 7. And I was completely wrong. Florida, actually, we were just taking a little bit of a break there at the end of the season, and we were resting up a little bit. And wow, is that team ever fun to watch? Florida is so fun to watch. Florida's one of those teams where they don't have a lot of individual players on there that I like, but I like watching them as a team, and I really hope that they do well. I don't hope they win the Stanley Cup, because I don't like repeat winners, but I hope that they do well in terms of like they're really competitive, and I want to watch them play as much hockey as I can, because they're fun to watch. I know that sounds contradictory, because I just said that I don't want them to win the Stanley Cup, but there's 2 opinions there. I really like watching Florida Panthers play, but I really don't like repeat winners. So I understand myself how that's conflicting and how that's confusing, but maybe you'll understand me. Anyways, I'm a little bit shocked and surprised, honestly, that Tampa lost as quickly as they did, so quickly. But after watching the Florida team in this series, it's not really a surprise. Like, they are rolling. and they look so good. And not just from the top line, but like they from a depth lens, they look so good. They're getting offense from everywhere. They're getting buy-in from everyone. So the team looks really good. The team looks like they could win the Stanley Cup again. Absolutely. Without question. So they will face either the Ottawa Senators or the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not sure what's going to happen as I'm filming this. It hasn't been decided yet. But if they face the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto's in trouble. I think Toronto's in trouble. If they face the Ottawa Senators, I think the Ottawa Senators are in trouble. I personally don't see how Toronto or Ottawa beats the Florida Panthers in the second round. The only thing I can think of is that Ottawa goes on, like they win the next 2 games, they eliminate the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're just full of confidence. They're full of the realization that they can beat the top team in the division this year, and they go into that next round being like, okay, well, if we can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, then we can definitely beat the Florida Panthers. Like, let's go. And they just go on this fairy tale run. Like that's definitely happened before. But the logic in me says the Florida team doesn't matter. That the Florida players don't matter. The team doesn't care who they play in the next round. They're going to win. Like that's how I feel. That's how good the Florida Panthers are. So I don't know. That's kind of my prediction, I guess, or maybe not prediction, but thoughts. Just talking out loud, having fun watching hockey, having fun watching playoff hockey, and feeling good about the hockey. Sometimes playoff hockey can be a little bit dull depending on who's playing. I think we've been blessed this year with some really good series, and not on paper, but like what we've been delivered by these teams, like some of these series, like the Carolina and Jersey one on paper, maybe not that great, but actuality, super good. Not talking about the West yet. Okay, conclusions haven't been had in the West. We'll talk about that maybe on the weekend or early next week, depending on how things shake out. But yeah, I don't know. I feel a lot of love for hockey right now, I guess. There's still things that annoy me, like the ads on the boards and the endless betting commercials. Like they're driving me nuts. But I think the product of hockey, specifically in the playoffs this year, has been really good. And officiating, I guess that maybe I'll end on officiating. Officiating overall, I think it obviously differs from series to series. It always does. But I felt like the officiating, specifically in the Montreal Canadiens series, Montreal-Washington series, was inconsistent at the beginning, and it got a little bit better as it went on. Like there were clear tripping penalties that the Montreal Canadiens should have been called for in the first 3 games and just simply weren't. And there were many cross-checking penalties from the Washington Capitals that were never called. So the consistency was not there in the beginning of the series, and a couple of the other series as well. There's one series in the West, I can't remember which one it is, but the reffing has been pretty bad in that series in terms of consistency and like what is and what isn't a penalty and stuff. I can't remember. Usually it's pretty late in the night if I'm watching a West game and I'm a little loopy, I'm a little drowsy trying to stay awake, so I can't remember the series. But yeah, anyways, I'm enjoying watching hockey, and I hope you are too. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section of all of the series if you want, but specifically the 3 that just ended, the Montreal elimination, the New Jersey elimination, and the Tampa Bay elimination. If you're a fan of any of those teams, let me know how you feel. Do you feel like it's okay, we'll come back next year, or do you feel truly devastated and what happened shouldn't have happened? So I'd like to know your thoughts. Anyways, thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you like hockey talk and stuff in general, join me here, subscribe down below. Tomorrow we talk Jersey concepts. Every Friday we do it on the channel, so we'd love to see you for that video. And yeah, have a great night watching hockey if that's your plan, and otherwise we'll talk to you very soon. Adios.